everybody. How's it going? Welcome to another episode of Music Mondays with Brian Och. That's right. This is the show where we talk about music photography. We talk about concert photography, behind the scenes, portraits, anything that has to do with music and photography. We're going to talk about it. So without any further ado, let's get to the photo we're going to talk about this week. Let me bring it up here. And of course, that is John Legend. And what is he doing in the captain's seat of a plane? Well, that's a very interesting story, and that's why we're going to talk about it. This photo is all the way back from February 6, 2008. That's right. And this was a very interesting job. This is a Getty job, wire image actually, way back in the day. And they called me up and said, hey, we have this job. Do you want to go with John Legend on a plane from New York to LA for the Grammys? And I said, that sounds like a pretty cool deal, right? Because it's John Legend. He was huge. He still is huge. He's a great guy, an incredible performer. So they said, yeah, your call time is 3 a.m. and the flight leaves at 4:30, and he's going to do a concert on the plane, which you will photograph, and then a press conference in LA as soon as you land. And then you will literally get on another plane right then and fly back to New York, and you'll be home for dinner. And I thought, that's like crazy, right? I mean, that's like a crazy, total, like crazy trip right there. But I said, yeah, because I mean, that's very interesting. So this was, it's called the Grammy Plane, and they did a thing where they were flying from New York to LA. People who won a contest got to go on this plane with John Legend and his band, and he literally did a concert on the plane. And I'm going to bring up that photo. So that's the photo, but we're not going to talk about it. But that is the concert. It was obviously pretty cramped, and there were not a lot of great places to shoot it from. But it was amazing because it's John Legend giving a concert on a plane. So let's go back to this other photo. This was taken after we landed in LA, but before we got off the plane and went and did the press conference. This is a chartered plane, and the cockpit door was open. And as we were leaving, I said, "Hey, John, you ever been in a cockpit?" And he's like, "Oh, no." And he walks in, and I said, "Oh, you should have a seat." And he's like, "I don't know if I'm allowed." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's a chartered plane. Nobody cares, And then I grabbed the captain's hat and I said, "You should totally put this on." And he goes, "Oh, okay." And he puts it on, and I literally take one frame, and then he goes, "I don't think I should do this." And I said, "Yeah, you're probably right." And then we get up and we leave the plane and we do the press conference. The interesting thing is, things like this, shots like this, they often happen spontaneously. This did not. This was thought through from the second I got on the plane, and I'm not making this up. And you've got to think ahead when you're doing this stuff, because then if stuff happens, you're ready for it. And if it happens and you're not ready, you don't get the shot. As everybody else was leaving, I went to the cockpit. This was shot with a Canon 5D, the original 5D full-frame camera. It's a great camera. This was shot with a very interesting lens, and I used flash on this. You can't really tell, but it was bright in the cockpit. You can see the light is coming in through the windows, and it's LA. So this was shot with a Zenitar 16mm f2.8 fisheye lens, manual focus. Yes, it is a crazy lens. It's very small. It looks like a Canon fisheye, but it's made in Russia. And it's a f2.8 fisheye, and it's manual focus, but it doesn't matter. It's a fisheye. So this was shot at f5.6. It was a ISO 800, and it was 1/125th. And the interesting thing about this lens is that at f2.8, center was very sharp, but by 5.6, the whole thing is tack sharp. It's unbelievable. You can pick this up for like $150 or something like that new. And I had a flash, and I pointed the flash straight up, and this is like at a fourth power, trying to balance out the sunlight, I believe, to get some light on his face so he wasn't in the dark. And I had planned this out. I had done a test shot about 5 minutes earlier as the cockpit was sitting in there with the captain. And then when he got out, I had John sit in there and we put the hat on and I said, oh, you should do this, So the whole goal is you got to be prepared for this stuff. You got to think through and always be thinking, what's the shot? What's the shot? And what better picture of John Legend in the Grammy Plane than in the cockpit in the pilot's seat? So that's the story behind this shot. And if you want to know more about concert photography or any sort of music photography, please follow me and leave your comments and any questions you have in the comments section. If there's anybody you want to see, any artist, any famous singer that you're interested in, let me know. I'll see if I have them in my archive or her, and we can do a show on it. And I'll give you a shout out as a thanks. So until next time, Music Mondays, thanks. This is Brian Notch.